Good evening. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the South Windsor Town Council on Monday, September 16th to order. And if everyone can rise, if you are able, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And roll call, please.
Councillor Buganski?
Present.
Councillor Lewis? Present. Councillor Balboni? Present. Councillor Carey?
Present.
Mayor Delnicki?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Siracusa?
Present.
Councillor King? Here. Councillor Fitzgerald? Here. Councillor Pendleton?
Present.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, Mayor's remarks. I'd like to say that at the September 3rd meeting, I remarked that September is National Suicide Prevention Month. We are still in September, obviously, and I feel it's important to provide a reminder that reaching out to someone who might be going through a difficult time can make a significant difference. Let's continue to foster compassion and empathy, supporting one another. September 22nd is the autumnal equinox, which occurs and will be the first day of autumn. And this Thursday, September 19th, there will be a quad meeting at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. The purpose of this meeting is to share information on the school's taxes, debt, economic development, and tax forecasts for the next few years, so all parties have the same information so we can identify our challenges together. In attendance will be the town council. With the town council will be the Board of Education, Planning and Zoning, and Economic Development Commission. And moving on to item 5, Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the adoption of the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any changes, additions, or deletions from the agenda? Councillor Balboni.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Somehow the 13C got added as a discussion item again. I'd like to ask that we change that to actually accepting the resolution and add that as 13, did you say 13J?
That's the next available slot, yes.
Seconded.
So 13J is going to be what?
The resolution as drawn up by the town attorney.
So we're still having the discussion item 13C.
Oh, and remove 13C, I'm sorry. Yes, remove 13C and add 13J.
Second.
Any discussion on the adding the item to the agenda and removing 13C? Councillor Pendleton.
Was 13C discussed, the reorganization, consolidation of the boards and commissions, discussed at the last meeting, or was it just the presentation on removal of someone that misses 3 meetings?
Councillor Beller.
Thank you. Actually, we changed it because I wasn't sure why that was on the agenda as such to begin with, because that was not what was asked for. So yes, we already had the discussion on what we wanted to do. That's where the town attorney came up with this sample resolution that we have in front of us.
So the discussion took place at the last meeting to consolidate the boards and commissions, is what you're saying, and the 3-meeting removal was not discussed?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing any further discussion, all those in favor of the
Madam Mayor,
amendment? Oh,
if I may,
yes.
I guess Attorney Corella, would it make sense? I know 3 people stepped up to be a part of this. I believe it was Councillor Balboni, Councillor Carey, and Councillor Fitzgerald. Would it make sense to put their names in there during this amendment, or as we read the resolution?
I think you can put it in there when you read the resolution. I don't think you have to add it right now.
Okay.
there might be some more discussion about it before you vote on it.
Make sure everybody's certain they want to be a part of it?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we had a motion to amend the agenda, so we're going to vote on the amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Roll call, please.
Counselor Boganski? Counselor Lewis? Counselor Balboni? Counselor Carey?
Aye.
Mayor Delnicki?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Saracusa?
Yes.
Counselor King? No. Counselor Fitzgerald? No. Mayor Counselor Pendleton? No. That's 6 yeses and 3 nos.
Okay, the motion to amend the agenda has passed, so final motion on the agenda as amended. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Roll call, please.
Counselor Boganski? Counselor Lewis? Counselor Balboni? Counselor Carey?
Aye.
Mayor Delnicki?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Saracusa?
Yes.
Counselor King? No. Counselor Fitzgerald? No. Counselor Pendleton? No. 6 and 3.
Okay, the agenda as amended is passed 6-3. Moving on to item 6, communications and reports from the town manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In terms of a veterans exemption effective with the October 1st, 2024 grand list, any South Windsor homeowner that has a 100% permanent and totally disabled service-connected rating with the letter from the Department of Veterans Affairs will be exempted from real estate assessments. Results of this are estimated a reduction of $9,195,000 off of our grand list, which comes out to a total in taxes of $314,000 from tax revenue for the town. We have 3 other items that the state legislature have also changed associated with our grand list that'll impact us for the upcoming budget year that I'll be bringing up over the next couple months, but wanted to get this one in front of you for this meeting. In terms of extra cardboard pickup, All American Waste is able to do a cardboard collection the first 2 weeks of January, similar to the tree collection, for about $11,500. They would have a truck and crew sweep the town collecting the cardboard curbside during this period. This was not budgeted for in this year's budget, so that would need to be considered. We already have in place an option for residents to schedule a cardboard pickup online for a cost of $25. A more cost-effective option might be offering this service for free the first half of January. We would be able to provide a list of stops each week, which would make the service more efficient for All American Waste and less costly to us. As of right now, we average about 3 cardboard pickups a month, and there isn't really an uptick around the holidays. That may change if the service is free for the first week of January, but we're probably talking hundreds of dollars versus thousands by remaining a scheduled pickup. I was asked to identify a recommendation from staff. The staff have asked to kind of track it over this upcoming holiday with the idea of maybe seeing what we end up with over the holiday months in terms of the requested pickups, and then make the appropriate change in the budget, in the upcoming budget cycle, if that sounds good to the council. Lastly, in terms of flashing signs at schools, currently we just installed one at Eli Terry School on Graham through the Safe Routes to Schools program and through the Vulnerable Road Safety Users program. We will have them installed at Ayers Road at the high school, Nevers Road at the high school, Foster Street at Rainbow Trail, and Arnold Way. We would anticipate the groundbreaking on these sometime in 2025, but this is a state initiative, so we don't drive the project. In relation to all the other school crossings in town, there are some limitations through the MUTCD, the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, where these may be installed. But our intent is to eventually have them all at all feasible crossings. A couple items not on my a written report to you. This afternoon, about an hour ago, actually, I had the opportunity to meet with a regional health department who we've been talking with about possibly doing our health services, since we do have a vacancy within our director's position. Myself and Scott Roberts had the opportunity to meet with the director of that health district. We need to sit down and take some serious look at the numbers to see what type of cost savings there would be. I'm pretty confident there would be cost savings if we were to go to a health district. That being said, we would need to weigh those cost savings with services and particular services for our businesses. You know, South Windsor has a reputation and a culture of being extremely business friendly and doing a lot to make sure our businesses are successful. And I think the turnaround time associated with another health district doing permitting and inspections and things of that nature may be a bit different than our business community is expected or come used to. And I think we need to sit down and really weigh the costs versus what that might look like. Additionally, you know, the position is currently open for the director's position. We need to see what type of applicants we get and see if anybody else also meets our needs and kind of evaluate how that looks as well. So that's one item that I wanted to bring all of you up to date with, and we'll probably be getting you some type of report, whether if we decide, you know, on hiring somebody or going with a health district, what that might look like. So we'll get you some information on that. Also, I wanted to bring the council up to date on one item for myself that is in my performance evaluation in terms of getting my credential. Typically, the easiest way to get that credential done is through going to the ICMA conference, which they've offered electronically for the last 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately, this year, as of a couple hours ago, we were notified they're not offering it electronically. So the only way to actually get that credential is to go to Pittsburgh to actually attend the conference itself. Unfortunately, we cut the funding for travel to that conference out of the budget this last year, so I'm going to be seeking out some alternative methods for trying to get my credential done. So I just wanted to make sure all of you are aware of that. The last item that the council had asked for at the last meeting was a report on employee turnover. We're in the process of putting that together. Due to the fact that we've used multiple human resources platforms over the last few years, we've had to actually go and pull all those files by hand to actually determine the cause of the turnover or person leaving and, you know, under what circumstances. So we're trying to pull that together since it's a 10-year report we're trying to get for all of you. So we're working on doing that, and then we'll be reaching out to all of you once we get that completed. And that's all I have. If there's any other questions or things I can answer for the council, I'd be happy.
Deputy Mayor Siracusa?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that report, Mr. Maniscalco. I know we threw a lot at you, and it seems like you did the work to get us all the information. In regards to the cardboard pickup, definitely appreciate getting all that info. I had no idea. I think a lot of people are going to come out and say those extra pickups that you do. So I imagine you will see an uptick just because of the fact that people are going to be made aware. So it's kind of in line with your videos you've been posting. You know, maybe around the holidays we tell the public that and see what happens. It doesn't seem like it's an incredible burden, which is a good thing if we do go that route. But I agree that maybe it's best to kind of see what happens during the holidays. But yeah, thank you for that. And then in regards to the flashing signs, I think I drove by Eli Terry the night after the meeting and saw, and I was like, man, that was quick. So I thought maybe whatever he said was magical, but apparently we had already had that done. So it's good to know. Can you explain a little bit more though? Like, so the state is implementing those lights in all municipalities, or were we just chosen as?
No, it's a funding program that we applied.
Okay, so we
It's
applied.
a funding program that we applied to
Gotcha.
in order to get those.
And our own staff installed the.
Yes.
Well, it looked great. It really does look great. So it's good to know as a young parent that the kids are going to be safe. So thank you for that, and that's all I got.
Thank you. Councilor Pendleton?
Thank you. Mr. Maniscalco, hearing that we've cut the money out for you to go to the conference is very disheartening because I'm extremely proud of you for being a certified town manager. one of 1,400 in the United States. And is there a way that we can take that out of contingency to make sure that you can go to the training in Pittsburgh? Is it Pittsburgh or Philly you'd have to go to?
I believe it's Pittsburgh this year. It's a little more complicated than just being able to do the actual finances of it. I believe it's next week. So even just finding lodging, transportation, there's a laundry list of challenges associated with just trying to get that done for next week. So there are other opportunities I have available to me to try to get that done. For those who are not aware, it's 40 hours of classes or other additional outside learning that has to occur. And then you have to actually do a written essay for every hour that you've done, and then turn that in and have it reviewed by a board of your peers.
And which
So-
means that you wouldn't be here working and doing your job for that week? 40 hours?
Probably.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's some other options I can do. I could get some books, magazines, try to find some online podcasts, things of that nature. So I'm going to try to start digging through that to try to go there. The conference is the easiest way to get all of that material in one spot and get it done, and it's the quickest way,
Right.
to be very honest. But it's
And you just learned
unfortunate
this-
that they've...
Did you present this to the council before on getting paid for this to go? Or getting the money to attend this conference?
So during the budget process, in the previous years, we had included both travel as well as, the ability to pay for the online, or what had happened is we included travel. And then since they were offering it online, because during the pandemic,
Right.
one year they only offered the conference online strictly alone. Since they've offered it online in previous years, we cut down the cost, since I hadn't traveled there the last couple times, to just pay for the online service. Unfortunately, this year, for whatever reason, they've decided they're not doing the online service and just told us today. So we've been reaching out all month trying to get it registered for an online service that doesn't exist.
How do you fix the problem? We got to fix this problem.
Basically, I find whatever books, articles, online journals, podcasts, whatever else I can do to meet that education
We need you to
requirement.
maintain your accreditation.
Correct.
No, absolutely.
I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, from my perspective, there's been some challenges with the ICMA over the last 2 years that I've seen that have been developing online, and this more or less this kind of speaks to that scenario.
Okay.
I think it's unfortunate that they would treat their membership this way by just eliminating what was really a very nice service
Right.
for members to be able to do something that now all of a sudden it's gone, so.
Is there a way that we can make any type of a resolution this evening that would allow you to get reimbursed for whatever you need to do, or should we wait until after you're completed for the first meeting in October? Any purchases
Here,
above
I've got 2 more months till I hit my deadline, so I've got 2 months to get everything done, so let me figure out where we end up and if I need to.
Please don't hesitate to bring it to us, and keep us abreast with any emails that you can on any finances that you may need, or any out-of-state or out-of-place, out-of-town training that you may need to accomplish this task, because this is
Sure.
very disheartening to hear this. You have to maintain your credibility, your accreditation, not your credibility, sorry, your accreditation.
Sure, thank
Okay.
you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. I also would like to ask, or just suggest with the cardboard, it's wonderful that we could do that and help out at Christmas time with cardboard, but just to throw it out there that you can also use it in recycled cardboard by putting it on the grass. It will kill the grass, and then you can plant your whatever dirt on top of it and plant your garden in the spring on top of it. So you can recycle cardboard right in your yard. It kills all the weeds. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. Now the flashing, I had to throw that out there, sorry. Daria's laughing at me in the back. Flashing signs are the signs that you're referring to at the schools. I just want to take that a step further if I could, please. I know I had mentioned to the chief when he was here about a flashing sign on Route 5, and knowing that's a state road, if he has reached out to the state to possibly get a sign that flashes that says, "When flashing, stop ahead," so we can get that put prior to the Pride intersection on Route 5, but also any other dangerous intersection that we may have, such as Sullivan Avenue. In Route 5, I know that they're around. You can see them everywhere. It's a triangular yellow sign that has two flashing, says, when flashing, stop ahead. If we could get them before the intersection so folks could see them to prevent more, cut down on car accidents that we've had in our community.
Sure, that would be a different process, so I'll reach out to the chief if you've already asked him, though.
Right, and I just bringing it up because you were talking about signs at the school, sorry. So, that's it, but thank you.
You all set, Counselor Pendleton?
I'm great, I'm sorry, thank you.
Counselor Balboni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Anything from the rumor mill?
I have not received any rumor buster requests yet,
Rumor buster, that's
Yeah.
what it's called. Excellent.
but it is the rumor mill out there that generates them.
And the other thing, I'll apologize in advance, I didn't email you, but if you could get us some information maybe for the next meeting, if you don't have the answer right off the top of your head, that's fine. But I'm hearing a lot of rumors about the fact that there's an uptick in people adding bedrooms to a lot of their houses. Some of the bigger houses, maybe splitting a living room into 2 bedrooms, this, that, and the other thing. I'm just curious about that uptick.
You mean like turning a home into like a rooming house or something of that nature?
If you want to call it that, sure.
I will talk to our planning and zoning department, and I'll be able to get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Counselor Fitzgerald?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, first, as a former employee of the State Department of Public Health, thank you for looking into regionalizing the health department. Yeah, it's kind
Not
of,
saying we're doing it yet.
I know, but looking into it. So I applaud you for doing that. I had a question for you about the crosswalks, specifically the one at Nevers Road in the high school. Are they doing that for the crosswalk that's closest to the high school, the one that goes across from the high school to the community center? Only because there's another one that's a little bit closer to the athletic fields. There's a crosswalk there. There's like 2 crosswalks on Nevers Road. And I know myself from personal experience, when you take the right off of Sand Hill and go up Nevers towards the high school, especially in the afternoon when the kids are getting out of school and the athletes are going down to Nevers Road Park for their practices, like as a driver, I'm looking, first of all, at the flashing sign telling me that I should only be going 25 miles an hour, which I was, of course. But then I'm looking at that crosswalk ahead that's at Nevers Road and the community center, the high school and the community center. And I've caught myself a couple of times, like at the last minute, seeing kids going into the closer crosswalk. So I don't know if they're only putting up 1, but if there's not plans for them to put up 2, if that can be requested, that would be great.
Yeah, both Ayers and Nevers will get crosswalk signs.
But there's 2 on Nevers. That's what I'm saying.
I'll
There's
have
2
to look into
crosswalks.
that then. I'll have to look into that one to see if
Okay.
we get them.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Counselor Fitzgerald, I think, are you referring to the crosswalk that's closer to Collins Crossing?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll have to look into that and get back to you.
thank you.
Seeing nothing further, thank you. Moving on to item 8, Counselor Baginski. Oh, I checked it off. I did that last meeting, too. Item 7, public input for items on the agenda. Public input shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks, impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item on the agenda. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to come forward for any item on the agenda? Is there anyone who'd like to come forward for items on the agenda? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none. Moving on to item 8, adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting. Councilor Baganski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of September 3, 2024.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, changes to the minutes? Counselor Balboni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've already discussed it, but Counselor Lewis was here. Should be under the members present. I think that was the only thing I saw.
Got that? All right, all those in favor, with the added change of Counselor Lewis, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Roll call, please.
Counselor Buganski? Counselor Lewis? Counselor Balboni? Counselor Carey?
Abstain.
Mayor Delnicki?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Saracusa?
Yes.
Counselor King? Yes. Counselor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Counselor Pendleton?
Abstain.
2 abstentions and 7 yeses.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to item 9, communications from liaisons, officers, and boards directly responsible to the council. Counselor Balboni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Public Building Commission had a meeting and both basically wrapping up a lot of the closeout stuff over at Pleasant Valley. If anybody's driven by there lately, as I just did, there's an awful lot of dirt. I guess they are definitely going to be planting, and we should have full grass hopefully by the end of the growing season before winter hits. Also, they're still looking for direction from us on which way to go on the Parks and Rec.
Right, and that was on the...
For next agenda.
Right, but in your communications at the last meeting, it was supposed to be October 21st.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yes, that's what you read into the record.
Perfect.
And I was supposed to get something from the chair or the vice chair of the Public Building Commission in reference to that. A definite, more information so that a resolution can be put together. So I need information from that meeting in order to do that. Okay. Councilor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission met. There's just a couple of items. One is filling the vacant position on the commission that they're hoping, since the resignation of Ms. Lauren Chung on January of 2024, they're hoping that that position can be filled sooner rather than later. There was also some commentary in regards to a budget for the commission. However, upon further review, realizing that when we voted for our budget, they already do have one for social justice and racial equity, so they were happy about that. Also, a reappointment of current members on the commission. The appointment term for a lot of the members ends on November 30th, 2024. So they just wanted to have an idea in regards to, is this something that has to come back through the council? Does it have to go back through the different committees? Who handles in terms of a reappointment?
That would come from the particular party. So they should send one of those forms, nomination forms, if they want to be reappointed.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay. And I have just regarding the Inland Wetlands meeting, which will be taking place this Wednesday, September 18th. There are 2 new business applications. One's the application 24-29W. It's Breelman Single Family House at 33 Woodcock Drive. It's an application for the Conservation Commission and Inland Wetlands Agency for the construction of a single-family house and associated utilities, clearing limit, and grading on the property. And then application number 24-31P, Gallivan subdivision at 117 Foster Street. Again, Inland Wetlands Conservation Commission application for the subdivision to create 1 residential building lot with associated tree clearing, grading, and construction of a new driveway located at 117 Foster Street, and that's a rural route zone designation. And seeing, Counselor?
No,
Oh, yes,
Not about this, but about something.
sure.
Just a point of order, because I was just looking over the minutes. I wasn't here and I didn't have a chance to read the minutes that we received today. But I know Counselor Balboni mentioned that the name of the item of the reorganization and consolidation of the boards and commissions was changed. I see that on the front of the minutes, but on the actual item itself, 13M, it still says discussion item, process for removal of members from a board and commission. So maybe that should be reflective of what was voted on in the front, Kath? Thanks. Thank you, sorry.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. You look at it so much, you don't realize what's... All right, moving on to item 10, reports from committees. Okay, I just report that we had a insurance committee meeting last Wednesday. Is there anything that you can, Mr. Maniscalco, is there anything you can provide from that insurance committee meeting? Mr. Maniscalco? The insurance committee, is there anything that we can?
Flipping through my agenda, I apologize. Why does it keep shutting off? So we did meet as our insurance committee, went through it. I think there's is it a Medicare, Medicaid change?
Medicare supplement.
Medicare supplement change, that's correct. So they're currently in the process of looking into that in terms of identifying somebody to help us do that, since Anthem is no longer offering it, is my understanding. So our consultant is currently looking through and doing that. Additionally, we went over all our claims through Lockton, and unfortunately Kerma wasn't there to be able to do their report this last month. So if anybody's interested in the reports, they're in my office and they're more than welcome to come and take a look.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yes, sorry, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't want to speak on the chair of the naming committee's behalf, but I did get a couple calls in the last couple of days about certain items, and I was able to, as you guys know, we passed the new finalized policy and the actual clean form to fill out. So I just want to announce to the public again, there now is a form, a nice clean form online for everybody that wants to make a nomination for a building or a field or whatever, something in town, and that will go directly to the people that would get it to the naming committee. So the days of kind of looking for who to call, it's much more simple. So just want to make that clear, because I have been getting some calls on that. And thank you to Kathy and whoever else in your staff, Mike, that made that happen, because that was a pretty quick turnaround. So thank you.
Seeing nothing further, moving on to item 11, 11A1, Councilor Pendleton.
Motion to approve 11A1 as a first reading on the consent agenda.
Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Second reading, 11B, Councilor Lewis.
Resolution appointing Kyle Demetriou.
Point in order. And your microphone too, please, Councilor Lewis.
Thank you very much. Motion approve 11B1 and 11B2 as a second reading on the consent agenda.
Do we? Is that you, Councilor?
Second, yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to 11A, miscellaneous, having none. Moving on to 12, unfinished business. There is none. Moving on to item 13A, Councilor Carey.
13A, resolution appointing Michael Pagano as a member of the Board of Education. Be it resolved, the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Michael Pagano as a member of the Board of Education for a term ending November 10th, 2025, to replace the unexpired term of Elena Poma.
Second.
And just to have, for the record, it's Miguel Pagano.
I apologize, Miguel.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Deputy Mayor?
I just want to say, regardless of the outcome of the following vote, thank you, Miguel, for your willingness to step up, and hopefully in a second here, you'll be a member of the Board of Ed. So thank you for your willingness to serve.
Okay. Counselor Pendleton?
Please don't take this personally, sir, because you are volunteering to sit on a very busy board in our town. I have a question. I missed it, and I don't know if it was mentioned at the last meeting, but it was pointed out by the Republican chair to us that someone who ran and lost should not be appointed to an elected position. And that came out of the Republican chair's mouth when we were trying to appoint someone. So we're now breaking the Republican rules by appointing someone who ran and lost. I just want to put that out there in the public, which is actual fact of what we're going to be doing this evening. And again, sir, it has nothing to do with you. It's just the process that I'm questioning. And the rules that are made inconvenient at the time for the Republicans, and now when it's even more convenient, they break their own rules. I'm just pointing that out. So I will be voting you in. I think you're a great guy, and I think you would do a fine job. But I just think it's unfortunate that the rules get bent when it's convenient. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Counselor Carey? Counselor Carey?
I just want to correct something. All of the Republican candidates that ran for Board of Ed won their elections. So Miguel did not run this past time. He may have run in a different election, but he did not run at this most recent election.
Deputy Mayor?
I just want to add to any RTC or any other party chairs definitely don't make any rules that the council then has to follow. So I don't remember there being any rules being told to me or anybody else. So again, I'm happy to see Miguel serve on the Board of Ed. And again, it's not an easy thing to do, especially something of that magnitude. So cheers to you for signing up, and thank you to Councilor Pendleton for recognizing Miguel as a good person as well, because he certainly is.
Any further discussion? Counselor Balboni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to clarify that Mr. Cordero, who is currently the RTC chair, came up and spoke as a citizen, as himself, not as speaking for the entire RTC at the time. He did not say anything about the fact that the entire RTC thought that we should not put anybody anywhere. So I'd just like to mention that that's his personal opinion, and he's entitled to it.
Okay, question has been called. No further discussion. All those in favor of item 13A? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Saying none, motion carries. Moving on to 13B. Congratulations, Miguel. Moving on to 13B, Charter Revision Commission update. We have Andy Paterna and Jan Snyder here to present. And you all have the 13B overview.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor Siracusa, and council members. We're pleased here tonight to give you an update on the Charter Revision Review Committee. I'm Jan Snyder, 191 Bourbon Street, representing the committee.
And Andrew Paterna, 301 Strawberry Lane, representing the committee.
Thank you. So, first of all, we want to bring you, Andy is, of course, the chair, and I'm the vice chair. And the commission was established on September 18th, 2023 by town council approval. And pursuant to section 7-190A of the Connecticut General Statutes, that was the statute that was used in order to create this specific commission. We're currently composed of 7 electors of the town of South Windsor. Andy Paterna is chair. Jan Snyder, Vice Chair.
Should be
Tad Bister is also a member. Stephen Cordiero, Karen Lydecker, Denise Ricotta, and Jessica Vogelsgang, I think. That's good. I think that's as close as I can get. Thank you. And sorry, Jessica, if it was wrong. Our meeting schedule has been pretty consistent. Once we had some issues up front, clarified those issues, working together with everybody. And our meeting schedule as of this meeting, we've had 8 meetings, and we've had 2 public hearings. So we really have had a total of 10 meetings. At our regular meetings, because they're posted, we have a specific area in our agenda for public input. So we certainly invite people that may not want to come to a public hearing to come and speak to us at our specific meetings, and all those are parts of the minutes. So our first meeting was our organizational meeting on October 17th, 2023. We had a meeting on November 21st, 2023, February 20th, 2023, and then our first public hearing that we had was March 13th, 2024. April 16th, 2024 was our regular meeting. And then we had another public hearing, because we really want to put the public hearings out there. The committee agreed we need to hear from everybody and give people the opportunity. So we scheduled them on different dates and times so that people can have better availability. That was on April 17th, 2024. We had our regular meeting on May 21st, 2024, June 18th, 2024, and then July 16th, 2024. So we've been pretty consistent having our meetings at a specific time, place, everything is all announced. Just so that you know, and of course the people that are listening, September 17th, tomorrow, we're having another public hearing here in the chambers at 7:30 p.m. And it has been advertised and put out. Kathy Senerth is our help with getting all the information out to everybody. And we have had people from the public come to our specific meetings that we hold here that really, they wanted to come and just speak to us one-on-one. And we really, as far as public input goes, we really allow anybody to bring forth anything they want. I mean, there's no limit on somebody wants to come and talk for an hour, we'll let them talk for an hour if they want to, because we really want to hear what the public has to say, especially get their comfort level. It can be kind of daunting to come in front of a public hearing and know it's being taped and things like that. So we want people to have that comfort level to share with us. And we have had 3 or 4 or 5 people maybe come and speak to us at the different regular meetings. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Andy to talk about our final report and how we move forward.
Thank you, Jan. Mayor Del Dickey, Deputy Mayor Saracusa, Town Council members. We've had 2 public hearings so far. A third will be tomorrow night. The statutory requirements are for 2 public hearings. We think probably by the time we get to the end of this process, we will have 4, perhaps even a 5th public hearing. So we're trying to get as much input as possible. In terms of statutory requirements, there's a 16-month deadline. So 16 months from that September 18th appointment for this commission, in January of 2025, we will give you a final report. At that point, our goal is to make it January 2nd, or 6th rather, so that you can have some time to digest it and maybe talk about it at the January 18th meeting. Now, it doesn't mean you have to decide anything. You have another 30 days, basically, to look at it, and then you should hold, according to statutory requirements, you will hold a public hearing to also get input. And then after that, you take a look at all the input, what our report says, and you decide how you want to accept all items, reject some items. That's up to the council. So we're going to look at, as our goal, as January 6th, to give you a final report. So I'll stop there, but any questions that you have about the process? I know some people may have thought if we give it to you January 6th, you have to have a decision by January 18th. Not true. You have another 30 days. And it's your, it's your prerogative, once you hold the public hearing, to say, here are 12 things that the commission has recommended. We think, number 3 and number 6 can't be accommodated. We're going to take those out. That's the town council's prerogative. But after the public hearing, you really can't add any new items once you get the input if it comes from the public and you wanted to add something, I think, and I'm going to ask our town attorney for clarification on that, would that be proper?
After the Charter Revision Commission completes its report, you have an opportunity to have, you have a requirement to have a public hearing. What you hear from the public at that point in time will guide you as to whether or not you want to accept or reject some of the proposals you hear from the Charter Revision Commission, and ultimately put something forward for a referendum. So that's the process.
Okay.
So if someone from the public, when we hold our public hearing, we don't have to accept what they're offering if it's not on that list, right? Do we, at that time?
Ultimately, the final say is yours. That's right.
So, Mr. Paterno, I'm looking
Yes.
at your date of final report, number 3, 3B. It says, resolution approved by town council on September 18th. Is that a resolution to accept your changes, or
Well,
is?
no, that was your resolution to form this commission.
Oh, September 23, okay.
Right.
We did put that on there so that in case the council member, any of you had any questions of how far back does it go, I just wanted to be sure we carried it down there again so that you remember the date.
Gotcha. So you'll give us the report, and then we got 30 days from the date you gave us the report. So if you give us to January 6th, we have until February 6th to hold a public hearing?
30 days. Within that 30 days, I think you have to hold a public hearing. Is that
That's
right?
correct, yeah. Madam
Within
Mayor,
the 30 days.
We'll provide you, as they get closer to that date, I'll
Okay.
provide you with a timeline memo as to what your actions have to be, starting upon your receipt of the report.
Okay, great. Counselor Pendleton?
Any questions?
No questions, just compliments. I just want to say thank you for all the time and effort and energy you guys are putting into this, and please take that back to the commission.
Okay.
And it's truly appreciated to sit down, and you probably got one of the best ones standing right next to you who had a giant book
I know
on
that.
charter notes on what we needed to, and I kept telling her
I know
all
that.
throughout the years we worked together, Jan, put that in the book. Jan, put that in the book. We worked together on it, correct, Jan? And yes, we did. And so I expect nothing less than perfection from this because you guys are awesome. You're an awesome, I know we're going to get perfection on this.
Now the pressure's
So-
on. And the pressure's on.
The pressure's, no, I know we'll get it. I know we'll get it. And I just want to say thank you. And for helping our community and helping our council and helping us move forward and not back in time, but forward in time. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say the pressure was on at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Then it got easier, right?
Right.
And went
Exactly.
more flow. Counselor Balboni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You answered my one question about the 30 days. That was excellent. Thanks for not even making me ask it.
Right.
So actually, my other question is for the town attorney. So you said that the town council has the option to cross things off the list. Do they have the option to add things to the list?
Not at the, no. They have the option to review and reject. If the town, and you'll have the opportunity, let me just take a step back. When the town council originally enacted and empowered the Charter Revision Commission, I believe there were a set of items that required the town charter commission to review, right? So they have to report back to you on what you told them to review on the first instance. You have the opportunity to review what the report says and, cross out items that you don't feel are appropriate or you have a different opinion about, or you hear from the public at your own public hearing as to there's some concerns about it. If any one of you can participate in the Charter Revision Commission public hearings and have an opportunity to put your input even as the process continues right now. But at the time that you get the final report, you can't add things to it. You can just reject.
So our public hearing that we're required to have, people can come up, have great ideas. We can't add those. They can only talk about taking items off the list?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy
If
Mayor?
I might,
Sure.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Balboni, if you know of, and if any of you councilors know of anybody who wants to have an input, our meetings are published, the minutes are there, please send them. If they want to come to our meeting and kind of have that personal, informal, please have them come. We're advertising, we're on Facebook, we're on the town website, we're on the boards, we're kind of everywhere. So, but sometimes people don't always, use those forms of communication. So we want to be sure, if you know of anybody who have made any comments or anything, please send them to us so that we can include everything that of anybody's thoughts in town, any resident, citizen.
Thank you. No, the only input that really I've gotten is that they were unaware of the public hearings. And when I tell them the same thing, I'm like, so is the town council. So I'm glad that we note there's one tomorrow, kind of short notice, but I will definitely mention that to the people that have been asking and see if we can get somebody here to come talk to you.
I mean, we're just announcing it tonight, that tomorrow's a public hearing, but it's been out in the newspaper, on the electronic boards for more than a month, just so you know. We did
June,
get
I
the word
think,
out earlier.
end of June.
But, yeah,
I'm sure the proper procedures were all followed. I'm not questioning any of that.
Thank you.
All I'm saying is that people just don't know.
I know.
It's,
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Siracusa?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You pretty much answered all the questions. I guess I want to do a little shameless plug for the people out there to get involved if they can. You know, we have some really great people standing in front of us today, one of whom, I graduated with her son, and I've seen her do this basically since I was probably 10 years old, right? We got Daria Plummer back there with her bodyguard with her, Miguel in the Board of Ed. You know, we're going to talk about later on about boards and commissions and maybe combining them and forming a committee to look into that. And we really do need volunteers in town, and it's really amazing the impact you can make in the town that you live in. You know, we're all volunteers. They're all volunteers. And it does feel good when you can make an impact. So if at any time you hear certain boards and commissions and these meetings, it's open to anybody who's available. There are a lot of openings out there. So please reach out to any one of us, reach out to any of the folks that ever come present, because we're dying for help, and you really can make a big impact in your town. So thank you for this presentation. It was very clear, concise, and I think once you said the 30-day, everybody's light turned off, because that's what everybody was going to ask. So thanks again for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to, real quick, I just want to really thank the members that are serving on the commission. Of course, it's Andy and I, but Tad Bister, Steve Cordiero, Karen Lydecker, Denise Ricotta, and Jessica V. They're really set aside their time and their energy and their efforts. And in the beginning, it was a little rocky, and we had to change meetings and move around. And they're just really a great group of people in town that are willing to put their time forward to serve on this, because this is, and I'd like to stress the message which Deputy Mayor Siracusa already has. This is a very, very important function for us to do. This, I don't believe the charter's been changed in 70 years?
1968?
Long time. So probably a good 50 years. So, let's hear it. You live in town, you take part in all of the things we do. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want. And I'd also like to take a quick second to thank Kathy Senorth. She's kind of been leading all of our, helping getting our minutes done and everything else. So she's doing a fantastic job, and I just want the council to know that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for the update, especially that tomorrow night's the public hearing, so.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to thank Kathy as well. Thanks for all your work. Just a few comments. I couldn't ask for, and I'm so grateful to have such a great partner in working on this project with me. It's been, she's been amazing. And I also want you to know that all those members, and we've had disagreements in our discussions, but every meeting has been respectful. People have honored each other's opinions, and it's been just a great group to work with, everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Hi. I want to correct something I said in response to Councilor Balboni's question. I just took a look at the statute again. The commission, the town council does have the ability to make recommendations and not just rejections. So I apologize for that. As I thought about it, I'm like, I got to look at that. And then you were correct, or somebody was correct. You guys have the ability to make recommendations back to the Charter Revision Commission.
So when they submit January 6th, we look at it, we can add,
You have to have your public hearing, and
Correct.
then you can issue recommendations back. If you make no recommendations, that's fine too. But if you have recommendations, it goes back to the Charter Revision Commission. They make them back, it comes back to you again for final version.
Okay,
Okay?
great.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to recuse myself from the public hearing at 8 o'clock and also from 13D.
We have actually 6 minutes.
Oh, sorry,
So I
I'm
was
looking
going
up
to
there.
ask if I wanted to take a recess till the 8 o'clock hour, so that way we're not in the middle of resolution, item E. So, 5-minute recess?
I too am going to recuse myself from the public discussion and
Right,
13D,
yep.
so.
Thank you. So a 5-minute recess? We'll come back right at 8 o'clock. Thank you. like to call the regular town council meeting back to order. And now we are going to suspend the regular town council meeting for our public hearing. The public hearing is to receive citizen input on the amendments to the South Windsor Volunteer Department tax abatement. Ms. Senders, if you could please read the public notice.
To be published in the Journal Enquirer, September 6, 2024, legal ad, Town of South Windsor. Notice is hereby given that the South Windsor Town Council has set Monday, September 16, 2024, at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Ave, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on amendments to the South Windsor Volunteer Fire Department tax abatement. Dated at South Windsor, Connecticut, this 4th day of September 2024, attested to by Catherine Senerth, Executive Assistant.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak during this public hearing regarding the amendments to the South Windsor Volunteer Fire Department tax abatement? Is there anyone who'd like to come forward? Going once? Going twice? Seeing none at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing. And we'll take a straw poll. This is a straw poll, not a scientific poll. For those in favor of the amendments of the South Windsor Fire Department tax abatement, please raise your hand if you're in favor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those opposed? Okay. Thank you. And we will now resume our regular meeting. Okay, moving on to 13C, which we removed. And moving on to 13D, Deputy Mayor Siracusa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving amendments to the South Windsor.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, we're.
Get out. Get out. Get out.
All right, so the reset button here. Resolution approving amendments to the South Windsor Volunteer Fire Department tax abatement. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby adopts the proposed amendment to ordinance number 225, South Windsor Volunteer Fire Tax Abatement Ordinance as shown in attached Exhibit A.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Councilor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to pass down, I'd like to make an update or propose an amendment to this resolution, if I may. The reason that this was put together was actually a reminder. So let me read it and then give you the reason why, once it gets down. So this is a new Section 7, which includes a death benefit. If a member dies in the performance of their duties within the department, their surviving spouse shall be entitled to receive an abatement annually for as long as the spouse continues to reside and own property in South Windsor. This annual abatement shall also apply prospectively to any surviving spouse of a member who died in the performance of their duties within the department prior to the passage of this ordinance for as long as the surviving spouse continues to reside and own property in South Windsor. And the reason for this was a number of reasons. Obviously, very thankful for everybody that serves, first of all. Second of all, we've probably all seen recent events in which, for example, a state trooper passed away, and if you stayed current, his wife didn't get anything. She had to put forward a GoFund account because he had not hit the level that he needed to for his pension in order to get those different benefits that he probably should have received. And if we're doing this type of an abatement, which I have no problem with, I would love to add this to that so that for the individuals that are volunteering their time, that are serving, so on and so forth, and putting their lives on the line for us, that their spouses who are also part of the department in one way, shape, or form will also benefit from this. Is there anything you wanted to add, Councilor?
Councilor Fitzgerald?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. No, just I agree. I think this is a good amendment. And I guess I just have a question either for Mr. Maniscalco or if there's someone from the fire department who's here. Do you know off the top of your head if there are have any South Windsor members of the fire department died in the line of duty?
I don't know exactly. Anecdotally, I've only heard of a couple, but maybe our representative from the fire department might want to speak to that.
You guys turn your mic on, Deputy Chief.
There we go. Good evening. I'm Deputy Chief John Hoffman. I support the tax abatement within the department. The department did have one line of duty death, George Mullins, and I believe that was back in the late 60s, early 70s. All right. So we have one, but obviously that gentleman is long past in his family.
Do you, I'm sorry, do you know did he have a surviving spouse or?
Currently, within the department, we have no one that would be taking advantage of this ruling within the tax abatement, although I do agree wholeheartedly with the premise, supporting the firefighters that give so much for the department and for the community.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I would just say I wholeheartedly support this amendment. You know, I think that that the spouses of people who volunteer their time to put their lives on the line when needed in this town deserve to be taken care of if their spouse should happen to die in the line of duty. So I support it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. This is a great addition to the resolution and for the ordinance. I think it'll be treated just like the veterans abatement, where if you're fully disabled, you get an abatement, which was done by the state. So that's a state mandate. So it's something we don't have to do, but it's awarded to a spouse whose fully disabled veteran had passed away, so it carries on to the spouse. So to me, it's the same thing. So I agree. Councilor Balboni.
Yes, I guess my first question is to Mr. Corella. This has been reviewed.
The amendment has been reviewed, the new section, I just saw this tonight for the first time. It is allowed, this type of amendment is allowed under 12-81X. The underlying statute's allowed under underlying ordinance is allowed under statute 12-81W. So the next section in the state statutes relating to these items does allow for a death benefit as being proposed. So the state statute allows it as far as I can read tonight. So this is the first that I've had the chance to really review it tonight.
Just concerned about the wording. It's the same abatement, obviously, that the firefighter was receiving in the first place, correct?
Yes, it's the same abatement. Yeah.
I completely agree then. Absolutely. Excellent job.
Councilor Carey.
I think this is a great idea, and absolutely, thank the people who do so much for our town. It's a great idea. Thank you. I totally approve.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, couldn't agree more that this should be a kind of a no-brainer. And I'm glad that the wives or husbands of firefighters can have some peace of mind knowing that, God forbid, something happens. Should there be a little wording in there to say the above-mentioned abatement, not just receive an abatement annually? Should it be more specific to the?
I think it falls in line with item number.
It's hard to look at it without it being like where it would stand in there,
I think it
when we have
falls
a
in line with
standalone.
Attorney Corella. I think it falls in line with section 5 and 6, retirement benefit, disability benefit, death benefit. And it doesn't say above, so.
I think the overall idea and structure is to allow for the abatement for volunteer fire departments personnel. I think it's fine.
Okay.
Just insert it as it is.
Again,
the idea is there. If you want,
God forbid the situation came and the poor husband or wife had to try to go through red tape because of wording. So as long as you're saying it's okay and it's conducive with the overall abatement resolution, then we're good to go, and we have it on record to look back on someday if that ever came about. So, yeah, great suggestion, and I would say 100% approve that amendment to the resolution.
Seeing any further discussion? Do have a little correction on section 4, front page. There's a typo. Section 4 on the front page of the Exhibit A, it says abatement of, it should say property. That's my only addition, change. Okay, do we have a motion? We have a second. All those in favor of the amended resolution to add section 7 death benefits? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you, councilors. Appreciate it. This is all about, again, just being one South Windsor. I'm hoping that a lot of our fellow communities, because we've seen a lot of drama in other situations where families are just almost, they're already grieving and then going through a process. And then on top of that, almost to Deputy Mayor's point, they have to go and deal with wording. This way we've kind of solidified something for all of our residents, for all of our fighters who are putting those things forward. And we may do this for other things as well, but you won't have that problem here in South Windsor. If something pops off, then we have a situation, you and your family will be taken care of. So thank you, fellow councilors. Thank you very much.
Yes, you can bring in Councilor Baginski. Hold on. Councilor Lewis? Councilor Lewis? Hold on 1 minute, please. Because we voted on the amendment, so now we got to vote on the total resolution. Thank you. All those in favor of the, I thought I said that, amended resolution. All right, those, we have a motion, we have a second, please? I hate these changes. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Councilor Baginski, we're sure now. Anybody want to get Councilor Pendleton?
She's coming.
Is she? Moving on to 13E, Councilor Balboni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving a master municipal agreement for right-of-way projects. Vincent Stetson to be present. We haven't even given his presentation first.
No, he's
Okay.
just here in case you have questions for the resolution.
Whereas this master municipal agreement for rights-of-way activities, master agreement or agreement, is entered into by and between the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation, the Connecticut DOT, and the Town of South Windsor, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, 06074, the municipality. The CTDOT or the municipality may each be referred to individually as the party and collectively may be referred to as the parties. Whereas the municipality undertakes and may financially participate in rights-of-way activities in conjunction with improvements to locally maintained roadways, structures, and transportation enhancement facilities, they are eligible for government financial assistance from the Connecticut DOT, the federal government, or both. And whereas the Connecticut DOT is the authorized entity responsible for distributing the state and federal government financial assistance with respect to the municipal projects, and whereas on a project-by-project basis, either the municipality or the Connecticut DOT takes on the responsibility for the administration of the rights-of-way phase of a particular municipal project, and the parties wish for this master agreement to address the rights-of-way phase of the municipality or state's administered projects, And whereas the Commissioner is authorized to enter into this agreement and distribute state and federal financial assistance to the municipality for these projects pursuant to Statute 13A-98I and Statute 13A-165 of the Connecticut General Statutes. And whereas the Connecticut DOT and the municipality wish to set forth their respective duties, rights, and obligations with respect to these projects that are undertaken pursuant to this master agreement. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council authorizes its town manager, Michael Maniscalco, to sign and execute the agreement entitled Master Municipal Agreement for Rights-of-Way Projects between the State of Connecticut, Department of Transportation, and the Town of South Windsor, and more fully described in Exhibit B.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? Deputy Mayor Siracusa?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for coming, Mr. Stetson. I'd just be curious to know, are there any specific examples in town where we would have benefited from this agreement on certain projects or upcoming projects that you think it would be beneficial, and maybe just explain to the public why we would be going into this agreement?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and esteemed fellow councilors. This municipal master agreement for rights of way, I believe, is actually a renewal. About 10 years ago, we adopted one of these. Since we've all been talking about rapid flash beacons, this municipal master rights agreement comes hand in hand with these projects. The rapid flash beacon on Ayers Road, for example, is through a state program through CROG, Safe Routes to Schools, so it's not our funds. And the state wants to make sure when we're taking land from residents that we're following the procedure to make sure that it's being appraised and those residents are being compensated correctly and we're following the rule of law. Additionally, they have many different municipal master agreements. They have master agreements for design projects, master agreements for construction projects, master agreements for right-of-way activities. And the impetus of all this back in the day was to streamline the process. I have a write-up here about the history of Connecticut DOT, master municipal agreements, if you guys would like me to read it. But it's really about streamlining the process, cutting down the review time from, historically what would take 100 days to just a few days, because this boilerplate legal language is all sorted out. It's your prerogative if you guys don't want to sign this, but moving forward, we will have a specific agreement for every project, which will just make the review process longer, more cumbersome, and more costly.
Thank you. That was perfectly explained.
Councilor Pendleton?
Thank you for staying on top of this 10 years ago. And how did you know this was coming up again? Did they send it to you? Do you keep track of this?
Fortunately for me, I don't have to keep track of this stuff. They send it to us when they need renewals, and if you guys are following local news, every town right now has been going through this process throughout the year, and it's just our turn.
Well, this is a lot, thank you. And as you said, there's other agreements that take place too on various things. So good job keeping up on all of that and bringing it forward to us. Yes, I'll be voting yes on this. Appreciate you and what you do in your department and keeping up with all of this and keeping us and their town abreast of everything.
Thank you, Councilor Pendleton.
Councilor Baginski?
Thank you. Just want to confirm, we don't give up any of our local rights or protections by signing this off to the state, do we?
So you guys read the first couple pages. I've read all 50 pages a couple times. I'm not an attorney, and I don't pretend to be one, but there are avenues for if we don't agree with the context of a project that we can back out of it. But this is all done well ahead of time. There's PALs, project authorization letters, that come out before these agreements where we can kind of hammer out whether or not this is a good idea for the town. Like say the state wants to come in and put another off-ramp onto Ellington Road. Definitely be able to have a discussion before they can just make that happen.
Thank you for coming tonight. But basically, this is like a blanket approval for you, and then if there's, like you said, if there's something you don't like, you can question it and back out of it. Is that what?
Yep.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Mr. Stetson. Seeing no further discussion?
Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to 13F, Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution accepting the naming of Public Lands and Buildings Subcommittee's recommendation to name the South Windsor Community Center Banquet Hall the Howard Hap Fitz Banquet Hall. Whereas the naming of Public Lands and Buildings Subcommittee met on Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, and discussed the naming the Community Center Banquet Hall after Hap Fitz, and whereas Hap Fitz served the community on various boards and commissions for 48 years, which included 4 years as the town's mayor from 1967 to 1971, and served for 44 years as a member of the Public Building Commission from 1975 to 2019 as chairman for most of these years. During his tenure, the library, 2 firehouses, the community center, the middle school, and high school renovations, as well as the police station were all built. And whereas the subcommittee voted unanimously to recommend to the town council that the South Windsor Community Center Banquet Hall be named in honor of Hap Fitz, now therefore be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts the naming of Public Lands and Buildings Subcommittee recommendation to name the South Windsor Community Center Banquet Hall in honor of Hap Fitz, and be it further resolved that the South Windsor Community Center Banquet Hall will be called the Howard Hap Fitz Banquet Hall.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Councilor Fitzgerald.
I just wanted to say thank you to you, Madam Mayor, for taking the time to find a good location to name after Hap Fitz. And also thank you to Ken Jeske for bringing his name to us and you know, requesting that we find a suitable place in the town to name after someone who clearly was a terrific volunteer and public servant for this town for many, many years. I think it's really fitting, and I mean, you could probably explain a little bit more his connection to the community center itself, but I thought it was a great suggestion of a place to name after him, so thank you.
Yeah, because I remember during our first meeting where this came up, when we spoke with Ken, we were trying to figure out what can we do for Mr. Fitz. So I looked up his obituary and it had all this information. Then I spoke to his son-in-law, and then I thought, well, he's done a lot of projects. He did the community gardens. He was part of that on Avery Street, but I'm sure other people were involved, so that made it hard. So I went and spoke to Andrea Kofrancesco at the community center and asked her what her thoughts were, because I was thinking of a smaller room, and her idea was the banquet hall, because you come in front and center, and he was instrumental of getting that community center built. So I hope my fellow councilors would agree that this would be a nice designation for Mr. Fitz. Okay, seeing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 13G, Councilor Baginski.
Resolution accepting the resignation of Dan Edwards from the Human Relations Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts with regret the resignation of Dan Edwards from the Human Relations Commission effective September 5, 2024, and be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council extends its thanks to Dan Edwards for the time dedicated to serving the community by membership on the Human Relations Commission.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank Mr. Edwards for his time that he served, and I wish him well in whatever he plans to do next.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to 13H, Councilor Carey.
Resolution approving refund batch number 3 for 13 refunds totaling $7,035.59. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves 13 refunds, the total of said refunds being $7,035.59, and is more fully described in Exhibit C.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Moving on to 13I, discussion item. Counselor Lewis.
I mentioned before in a past meeting last month that I'd like to discuss with my fellow.
Can you please pull the mic just a little bit closer?
I'd like to discuss with the fellow counselors our flagpoles. And the intent and the motive and purpose is for unity in town. And I'm just going to read the flag flying policy here, A and B, which states it pretty well. Purpose. The town of South Windsor establishes the following guidelines regarding the display of commemorative and organizational flags only on the designated town flagpole located at Town Center, Wapping Community House. No commemorative or organizational flag shall be displayed on any other town-owned or town-maintained facility. In adopting this policy, the Town Council declares the flagpoles owned or maintained by the Town of South Windsor are not intended to serve as a forum for free expression by the public, but rather as a non-public forum for the display of commemorative or organizational flags authorized by the Town Council as expressed in the Town's Council official sentiments which shall constitute government speech. My proposal is that we have 3 flags. The flag representing the prisoners of war, the American flag, and the state flag, and those flags only, because we're all part of that. And I think that represents every citizen here.
Any discussion? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Councilor Lewis, for bringing this matter up. I mean, I certainly would never speak against raising those 3 flags that you mentioned. So it's definitely worth looking. I don't know if it came from specific residents or this is from your own conviction, but
I had several residents contact me and ask me to do something about this.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing that forward.
Councilor Lewis, what's your next steps on what you would like to do?
I believe I was instructed that we need to have a committee to decide and come up with a resolution.
So you want to have a subcommittee to go over the flag flying policy, to go over and make changes to it? Is that what you're asking for? So I'm assuming since you're bringing it up, you're going to want to be on that subcommittee?
Sure.
And you have another co-counselor on both sides of the aisle?
If anyone's, I don't know. That's why we're having a discussion.
Right, so that's why I'm asking.
Yes.
So if you're looking for a subcommittee, just like the one that's coming up next.
Well, so correct me if I'm wrong. I was told that's the personally, I'd like to take it right to resolution, but that's not the process.
Because this flag policy was established in 2019, and again, it was revised in 2021, and that was a subcommittee that got together to discuss having a flag policy.
Are there any counselors willing to serve on a subcommittee?
We need to be called on, I suppose, before we can answer.
Excuse me?
No, I just said we need to be called on before we answer.
Counselor Pendleton, I didn't see your light. Thank you.
The last time that you spoke about this, 6 people contacted you, that's what I was told. And now I'm sitting here tonight, and you're saying that you were instructed to review this. Who instructed you, sir? Your fellow counselors instructed you to do this?
No, they didn't instruct me. I was advised that the process was that I needed to get a subcommittee, that I need to bring it to discussion, then a committee.
And then, but you're sitting here saying that you'd like to take it straight to resolution.
Well, personally, I would, yeah, sure. But
Of
I
course
need to
you
follow
would.
process, right?
What's that?
We need to follow process.
I have great concerns over the process of which you're speaking and what you're discussing here after this was reviewed. The flying policy was reviewed twice, is that correct? And this was put into place for a very distinguished purpose and reason. And the only time that you mention this is when the LGBTQ flag was put up by the request and the behest of the students of the high school. And that's when you brought this up, when it was Pride Month. And that's what you said, and that's when you had problems with this. So I have great difficulty with this. I will not serve on any, I've already served on a committee to create this. I've already, with the subcommittee and reviewing this and changing the flag flying policy, not once but twice, and going to attorneys and coming back. It's in place. It's a good policy. It's a strong policy. And 6 people don't constitute 27,000 people of our community. So I totally disagree with that as far as my discussion is concerned. I think it's fine the way that it is, and I think that we should leave it alone, and there is absolutely nothing that is offensive on any of our town properties, sir, that would not represent our community as a whole in every resident in our community. We put up there our public works, we put up there our police department, we put up there our LGBTQ, we put up every citizen has to be taken into consideration. Absolutely. No, but you want to eliminate as though they don't exist. You want to eliminate.
Excuse me,
No,
point of
you
order.
want to eliminate whatever flag comes before us. We still have the choice to choose when it comes before us, because one of us has to take that flag request and own it and present it to the council. So that's not, there is always a process to refuse a flag being flown. There is always, if you continue to read the process on how this works, you will see that there is an option in here if no one wants to take the flag request as their own and bring it to a council meeting. So trimming it down and streamlining it to whatever you think is chosen and eliminate everybody else is not a very good process. It's not open government. It's steamrolling. It's being a bully. It's controlling. I take offense to that. I truly do, because we have quite a variety within our community that has the right to be represented. And if we don't sit down and look at every flag request and one of us to own that flag request and bring it forward and have the courage to bring it forward, shame on us. But shame on you for asking for this to be removed, because 6 people contacted you. Thank you.
May I respond?
Councilor Lewis?
Those got to be the most divisive comments I've ever heard. I'm suggesting we have something that includes everybody, excludes nobody. And you're saying that I'm picking a particular group. Timing is what it is. But not everyone's a police officer, not everyone's a fireman, they're all good. Not everyone, but everyone is a citizen of the state. Everyone's a citizen of this town. Everyone's a citizen of this country. That's inclusive. To separate is divisive. And I guess we don't need to get there, but to me that makes sense. And I'm looking more for unity. I'm not looking for divisiveness. I'm looking to include everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how someone, well, that's a poor expression. It doesn't matter to me how someone orients himself. That doesn't mean they deserve less representation or less concern on how we want to care for our town and our citizens. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we're inclusive to everybody. To isolate and separate some people sometimes is divisive by nature. And you're accusing me of that is doubling down on that divisiveness, just to create opposition.
No, sir. Based off of your comments in June. And the division comes when there is a POW MIA flag up there identifying a particular group. There is division already established. out of respect to fly those flags. So a division has already been established. I'm not doing it.
Counselor Fitzgerald?
So I echo my fellow council members' remarks, and also just wanted to say, I mean, I wholeheartedly support flying the POW MIA flag, but to your original point, you're saying that we shouldn't fly, that we should fly flags that are inclusive of everyone. Well, not everyone in the town is a POW. Not everyone in the town is MIA. So why is that separate and distinct from any other flag? I just think that this is a good policy that's in place, and you know, we can't start cherry picking who we're gonna honor and who we're not, and set that in policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Fitzgerald. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess for a little education purposes, I'll ask you a question in a second here. I think, first of all, I think Councilor Lewis is a kind, gentle-hearted man for sure, and he's got every right to bring up what he wants to. I think the definition for the POW flag is, you know, because other towns, that's basically what they have, those three flags. And, you know, not everybody's here in America, not everybody's here in our state. There's some people missing, you know, in other parts of the world. So just to clarify that, I think, again, you know, Councilor Lewis has every right to bring up an item, and, you know, Councilor Pendleton also has every right to respond in however manner, I guess, she chooses to do so. To backtrack to the very beginning of the discussion, we do have the town attorney here that we pay to represent us. I know Councilor Lewis, I guess, was kind of wondering, now, not just specifically for this policy, but if anything comes up in general, it'd be good to know what actually is that process that needs to happen. Can a resolution come forward for a policy? Does a subcommittee have to be formed to review the policy? Again, not specific to this one, just in general. That way, everybody up here will know the answer to that in case any of the 9 of us want to bring a discussion in the future. But again, so everybody in the public can be made clear as well. So could you just maybe briefly explain?
Well, in general, if the town council wants to have a policy about something, it would bring it up as a discussion item and discuss it. There's no requirement to have a subcommittee or a committee review it. It's a policy of the town. This particular policy is important because it talks about government speech and what you guys consider as government speech, and how the process, allowing the public to participate in that, and how you proceed with determining what is flown on these flagpoles. That's the policy that was adopted back in 2019 and amended in 2021. There's no set answer to your question. It depends on the town manager's office has a whole ton of policies related to how government is implemented. If you feel that there's a certain aspect of government that needs to be addressed as to how the public and you formulate a policy, then it's a discussion item and nothing more, nothing less. It doesn't require a whole drawn-out committee process, hearing process. Sometimes it does, depending on the topic, but more often than not, the general types of things of who gets to fly a flag in the flagpole is a policy that you establish by resolution.
Thank you. I think you answered that great. And then one more point that I wanted to make back, what was it, July or June you said the last time we spoke about this? To me, it's an odd thing that we've created this basically an avenue of freedom of speech, right? This flagpole is a freedom of speech for the public, but then the 9 of us are asked to, you know, vote yes or no, and people have to apply. To me, just morally, I think it's kind of odd. I don't think I have the authority to turn anybody down, right? So I think we've given people the avenue, like, hey, you have this freedom of speech to fly this flag, but by the way, we have to approve it. I understand it's to protect maybe certain, maybe violent organizations from wanting to fly their flag, but I just want to put that comment out there that it's just odd to me. I don't feel like I have any right to be saying no to people once we've created this ordinance. I hope that makes sense.
Counselor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a quick question to the town attorney, I guess. So this policy that we have in front of us here is the current policy as it stands. So the section 2C, the bold part, that is the current policy, that you have to have a supermajority +1 to approve the flying of a flag. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say, I think that's, I mean, a supermajority +1 is an extremely high bar to meet, to fly a flag. And I think that that's a, you know, I think that if people are opposed to flying a flag, there's your solution right there. I mean, that's a very high bar to meet in order to approve the flying of a flag. And I think it's a good policy as it stands. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll change the dates from the first time this flag policy was put in place. It was 2020 during COVID. And the subcommittee with Mayor Paterna at the time and Councilor Snyder met, and there was one other person on the subcommittee. Was it you? And doing it through Zoom, that's where it started. And then this revision came after I left the council. So it's gone through another process, so. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilor Fitzgerald, was that your response into what I said, or just from before? Okay, because what I was kind of saying on the lines of, like, it's just confusing to me. I feel this, like, moral pull of, like, people want to fly something, but then we're asked to approve or deny it. It's just, to me, it's an odd process. So I feel like I have to say yes every time, because we've given, through this policy, people the right to fly what they want to fly. So I'm not saying I agree or disagree with looking at it, but I'm saying in general, the way it stands now, I don't see myself ever again, unless some organization that we all obviously would mutually agree with shouldn't fly a flag. It's just a hard moral thing for me, and I don't think I said that when we voted earlier or had this discussion, but I just wanted to make that point, so.
Yeah, because there is a vetting process to begin with. Once the application comes in, it goes to the town manager first. So if there is a violent organization that wants to fly a flag, it stops. And it doesn't even come to us to approve or not.
And there have been flags in the past that have been turned down. Yes, so know that. Not everyone has been approved because of this policy that's in place right here.
Any further discussion? Okay. Moving on to 13J, Councilor Balboni, a resolution to actually for reorganization and consolidation of boards and commissions. I have a question for the town attorney first. The resolution, can that be read? Because since we added it to tonight's agenda, but isn't there a vote that has to take place to suspend the rules to act on it?
So this was originally just a discussion item on the agenda, and it was changed, or this was added and the discussion aspect removed. One of your council rules states that you can't act on a discussion item unless you unanimously approve the change. And so I do think that you need to decide, if you're going to act on this tonight, that you need to kind of waive your rules and say, okay, we're going to act on this tonight, as opposed to, you know, putting it off to the next agenda. I went over this morning, and at the mayor's request, we took a look at this. And now I have to ask you to remind me where it is, Madam
I
Mayor.
believe it's under Article 15, Section 1. Because the first one was Article 9.
It's Article 9, Section 1. Official action of a discussion item shall not be brought forth in the form of a resolution on the same night unless the item has time constraints as determined by the town manager or their designee. That's, you know, it's kind of incongruous with the ability of the town council to adopt and amend your agenda. You wanted to act on this tonight or bring this up as a resolution as opposed to a discussion item. That's fine. You can do that. You amended the agenda to do so. But I think if you want to actually resolve to pass this tonight or act on this tonight, I think you got to get around your rules. Because the rule says what it says. It says you can't have official action of a discussion item shall not be brought forth in the form of a resolution on the same night unless it has time constraints as determined by the town manager or their designee. I don't think there's a time constraint on this, but, you know, it's up to you guys if you want to act on this tonight is what I'm saying. I think what you should do, just to make sure we're clear, is maybe have a vote as to whether or not you want to go forward on this resolution or not. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, before we suspend, call the vote to suspend the rules to allow this to get read, can we read it first and then, or should we?
Sure.
Should we
Sure, I
suspend the
think
rules first?
ultimately it's what's prohibited is official action. You can discuss it, you can read the resolution, you can debate it, you can amend it, the only thing you can't do without suspending your rules is official action, which is vote on it, adopt it.
Okay, so Councilor Balboni, you can please read the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I guess it's a resolution to form a subcommittee to look at the reorganization and consolidation of boards and commissions. Whereas the list of boards and commissions requires a review to determine the reorganization and consolidation of boards and commissions to allow for the efficient operation of the town of South Windsor. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Councilor Fitzgerald, Councilor Carey, and Councilor Balboni to be part of the committee that will review the current board and commission listing, and be it further resolved that the committee will conduct a thorough review and evaluation of the boards and commissions and bring their proposed recommended changes to a town council meeting for review by the entire council.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And discussion. Deputy Mayor.
So now would be the time to suspend the rules, correct, Attorney Corella, during the discussion period?
Yeah, I think you should go ahead and do that.
Go before the discussion.
Yeah, I think they should probably go ahead and do that at this point.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the council rules in order to be able to vote on this resolution and form this committee to let them get started on their work.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, and there's no discussion on that part, right? Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Roll call, please.
Councilor Buganski? Councilor Lewis? Councilor Balboni? Councilor Carey?
Aye.
Mayor Delnicki?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes. Sorry.
Deputy Mayor Saracusa?
Yes.
Councilor King? No. Councilor Fitzgerald? No. Councilor Pendleton? No. 6 and 3.
And the motion fails due to, it has to be a unanimous vote. So we can bring this up at the next council meeting?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So All right, so we're not going to, we'll have to put the resolution on the meeting 3 weeks from now. But should we therefore discuss it now so we understand where people are? No? Because it's my understanding that you guys discussed this at last meeting. I wasn't here, but it's my understanding. Is that correct? And you guys kind of agreed to come up with this? Okay, I'm just making.
Well, I believe during the meeting, I brought it up and said, we'll have another discussion item due to the fact that you were not here to speak for yourself and the public to know that you really wanted this, even though Councilor Balboni was 95% sure, and Councilor Pendleton was not here.
Okay.
To give her opinion on such resolution.
Okay. You know, and you'll have to excuse me. Sometimes I get confused because it seems to take us a very, very long time to do very, very simple things. But, okay, thank you. I appreciate the explanation.
Yeah, I just don't understand what's long time. It was just one discussion item. And then bringing this to vet it, because I think during our discussion, we were discussing to put possibly at Councilor Lewis's suggestion, 2 members of the public. And that was going to be part of the discussion. So that's why it was going to be as a discussion item, and then the next meeting to put it on the agenda. Just to give clarity on that one. Okay, moving on.
Madam Mayor, through you.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I echo what Councilor Carey was saying. I just don't, I'm a little confused because I know Councilor King and I have been kind of talking about this for over a year now. A couple meetings here and there kind of brought up, maybe we should take a look at these. I got to go back and watch, I guess, but I thought we had a pretty clear understanding, and, you know, I guess there could have been an amendment recommended for members of the public to be in there, but I guess we're going to have to wait 3 weeks to talk about it, so.
Okay, seeing nothing further, moving on to item 14, passage of ordinance, having none. Item 15, public input for any matter. Public input for any matter that over which the council has jurisdiction shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item over which the council has jurisdiction. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Hello. Can you please identify yourself?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Sinclair. And I'm Samiksha Maheshwaran, and we're from Girl Scout Troop 10943. And we're here to talk about the issue that we don't have a sidewalk on Ayers Street leading up to the high school.
This sidewalk is very close to, the street is actually very close to many parks and walking trails, and is walked by many students on their way to school, to and from school, and pedestrians out for like morning strolls.
Due to the fact that it's so close to the school, there's many student drivers as well as students who are there to be picked up and dropped off, making it a very populated area.
Not only for students, but for also citizens who walk among the roads.
Due to the fact that this area is so close to places like Nevers Park, it's a place that not only students use a lot, and it's a place that many citizens like to travel.
We also have the issue of student drivers, and pedestrians can also have the issue of walking in their blind spots, which is a danger to not only student drivers, but to pedestrians themselves.
There have been many instances in the past due to the fact that this is an area where many events are held. For example, last year at the concert, there was an accident on Ayers Street due to the fact that there were so many cars trying to get into the building at once.
And going back to new student drivers, add to the danger of this, who were driving to the concert themselves, to less experience on roads and encountering pedestrians on the roads instead of sidewalks. This increases the risk of accidents and injuries. There have been thousands of accidents in Connecticut alone per year that just involve student drivers.
And according to the Federal Highway Administration, roadway accidents involving student drivers are much higher.
There are no negatives to building sidewalks, only positive impacts.
If we built sidewalks, pedestrians would have their own safe area so that they wouldn't have to worry about cars, and drivers would have their own safe space so that they wouldn't have to worry about pedestrians.
We have an ongoing petition in regards to building sidewalks on the Ayers Street Road and gaining public support in the process. We thank you so much for your time and hope you will take this into consideration.
Thank you very much.
May I respond, please, to them or ask them a question?
Are we supposed to? We have to send the rules, right?
I just want Mr. Maniscalco to have their contact
Okay,
information.
all right.
To further the conversation with our
okay.
town manager.
Thank
Ladies,
you.
thank you very much for showing up and putting this out to us this evening. And our town manager, Mr. Maniscalco, right there, would appreciate your contact information and what he can do to look into the sidewalk on Ayers Road and get back to you, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward on any matter not on the agenda? Mrs. Plummer.
And my bodyguard?
I don't know, can you, Mr. Plummer? And if you can bend the microphone down, please.
I know, it's got to come way, way down.
Thank you.
Daria Plummer, 235 Orchard Hill Drive. My husband, Peter.
235 Orchard Hill Drive.
I've never had him refer to me as my bodyguard before, but if he can hold on to here, you know he really is. So I'm here for a number of reasons tonight. First of all, for those of the listening public and anybody who comes and watches any of this afterwards, I want to thank our town manager, and I want to thank all the department heads for the town manager's report and everything that goes into it. If you have an opportunity, read it. You may not like everything that's in there, you may question it, but that's the whole point. It's public transparency as to what's happening in this community. It is complete, it's in depth, it's long. You can get it sent to your email. Sometimes it comes with videos, sometimes it comes with pictures. It is absolutely a totally comprehensive picture of what this wonderful community is doing. And I want to thank the town manager for doing that, and thank all the department heads and everyone who feeds into their reports. It's a heck of a lot of work, and truly, you should be very, very proud of it. So I've come tonight, we've both come tonight, and we've sat through a long meeting, and please understand, sitting is not Peter's best quality these days. We've had an opportunity to use town services, as Mayor Delnicki has and as Councilwoman Pendleton has for our husbands. And we've had an opportunity to use town services in ways that you never think you're ever going to have to use them, calling 911. And I want to compliment the dispatch service and the police service and this community for having an ambulance service that can come to you within minutes. Now, we're overachievers. Not only did he fracture his right hip once, he fractured the same right hip again 5 weeks later. And the first time, the community center handled everything. The police department came, the ambulance drivers came, the EMTs, they were wonderful, and we were home within a couple of days. Second time, we were perhaps the only people ever to have an ambulance come to the Avery Street Gardens. He had been cleared, doing everything he possibly could, and an accident is an accident. And let me tell you, dispatch had to give me very clear directions because I was, as you can hear it, second fracture, and he was in beyond pain. The two women who came on Friday, July 19th, who were the EMTs, were phenomenal, and they need to be thanked. It was not easy. We had somebody flag down the ambulance, come into the garden, and where he was located, in the cucumber patch, where he was located, he was not comfortable, and they were able to at least, obviously, get him on the gurney, get him into the ambulance, and take him to the hospital. And it was trauma, pure trauma. So I want to thank the town for hiring an ambulance service, for having the types of supports in the police department that we need to when we have to have it. And we never think we're going to ever have to use these services, and we do. But there is another aspect to all of this that maybe you don't realize. You don't ever want to utilize it, perhaps, but you may, and that's the community center. I don't know if you know, or if the town knows, the listening public, but we have a lending library of hospital need equipment. We didn't know we needed to use it in June when he fell in yoga, but we borrowed it because we were making rapid recovery and we could bring it back quickly. And there are all types of equipments when you fracture your hip that you need. All types of equipment, trust me. And it happened again, and we still have the equipment, and I've actually told the director that we will be paying rent on this equipment that we are still using. But it is a wonderful service that this community has. So I'm going to close by saying, I am proud to live here. We're both proud to live here. People complain about our taxes, but the services we have are well worth the money that we paid. You don't ever want to be in this situation. So on that note, I will close, but I will ask you this. We had to ask somebody to help us bring a chair in with handles, arms, so that he could sit. That's the only way he can get up. So would somebody please take it out when we leave? Yeah, full hip replacement twice. It's been a wonderful summer. So thank you.
It says something about the capability of medicine today, Here I am, what is it?
Well, 9 weeks from the second surgery.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Plummer. Yep, I have to agree. I have to agree with you, Mrs. Plummer, that, Mrs. Plummer, I have to agree with you that you never know when you're going to need 911.
You're absolutely correct. You never know. Don't ever think it's not going to happen to you. An accident is an accident, and we are truly, truly grateful for everything that this community has to offer. So thank you all.
Good night, Mr. Plummer. Happy birthday. Anyone else like to come forward at this time? Oop.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Joe Kennedy, 81 Allison Drive. Open space, land preservation, purchase of development rights. I'd like to thank the members of the Open Space Task Force, the Agricultural Commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Park and Rec Commission, and the Land Trust. They've done a great job. I think we got, between open space and land preservation, over about 1,700 acres. People from all over the state come and walk our properties like Donnelly, Nevers Park, Wapping Park. So I'd like to say tonight, we got a couple parcels that we've been working on. I'm a member of Open Space, and I'm a member of the Agricultural Commission that may be coming up in the next year. The problem is, as you know, the appraised value that the property gets sometimes doesn't make us competitive. So I think in the future, if something comes up in the next year,
Oh, you touched the button. There you go.
thank you. The council's got to be willing to go 200, 300, or 400,000 above the appraisal, because there's not much prime land left. We've done a great job fighting suburban sprawl. So we're going to need that tool to go the extra yard. So that's what and then I thank all you for all of your hard work. Secondly, I think you had Mayor Paterno and Deputy Mayor Snyder here. I think I'll go tomorrow night, but I was going to mention we have three parties in town, Republicans, Democrats, Community Party, but your majority registration is unaffiliated, or I call independent. I think we should work together and make a list, because I know there's some independents that feel like they're not part of the process. And I think someday we'll have an independent or a community party sitting up there, maybe a libertarian, and that might be in the future. Another thing, having sat on boards for 25 years, I think some commissions could use alternates, because when a lot of times you're one short on a quorum, and I know an EDC has it, Water Pollution Control has it. If you had like two alternates, that makes a world of difference. So maybe I'll go tomorrow night to the Charter Commission and see the dynamic duel, Andy and Jan, and I'll mention that. But in the future, we might think about that. So thank you for your service again.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Anyone else who'd like to come forward at this time? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, moving on. Item 16, communications from the council. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish those young ladies stuck around because I know we've had pretty extensive talks on sidewalks since I first got appointed to the council. I know from that discussion we found that there's certain criteria and radiuses, and I would love to maybe have Mr. Stetson look into where that particular street sits on the next available streets, because it's got to sit based off of the criteria we were shared. It has to sit in there. So I want to thank those ladies. Hopefully the sidewalk is there by the time my three little girls get to the high school. That was very brave of them. Another thing I have, I stopped by the food bank at the community center today. Some residents in town gave me some donations to drop off, which was amazing. And speaking with the director there, she talked about the Rockathon that they're having coming up. It's a fundraiser where they're trying to raise money for their new cafe. So on Thursday, September 26th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., the South Windsor Senior Center will be holding a Rockathon fundraiser. People will rock in rocking chairs for however long they'd like to raise money for the new cafe. They're looking for rockers to rock 1 hour or more, people who will find sponsors to donate their time rocking in rocking chairs. And we're also looking for sponsors, people who would like to donate to sponsor to those who are rocking. If you're interested in sponsoring one of the rockers and helping their efforts in their new cafe over at the Senior Center, you can call Tiffany at 860-648-6399 or email Tiffany, Tiffany, .lazur, Lazur, at southwindsor-ct.gov. And also, I know they've been posting about this on their Facebook page, so just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. Councilor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First off, I just wanted to compliment and give a huge applause to the individuals who ran the volunteers who took up the mantle. We found out in regards to the Wapping Fair that it wasn't going to happen in January of 2024. Several individuals, spearheaded by David Pryor, in March decided that they were going to take over and say, no, we're not going to have it. There was a public outcry in regards to, no, we need to keep this going. I forget the date. I think I saw something that said like 1845 or something on it, something crazy. But regardless, they took it, they ran with it, a number of meetings. Even serving on the board, I was not the catalyst for pushing it forward, more in an advisory role. However, excuse me, I mean, it wasn't even more than 10 people. But the fact that they took it and ran with it, and praise God, the weather was gorgeous. Friday, it rained that night, but still, a lot of people came through, had a great time, so many children, and I'm thankful that also the only other events at that particular time close to us was the something in Vernon, car thing in Vernon, and over at the Birdhouse. But the majority of people coming around our town and seeing that they came together, it was awesome. Especially when you're talking about the families, South Windsor neighbors, and so on and so forth. I think it was another great opportunity to show that we're one South Windsor. Forget about parties and all the other type of stuff, but when the families came together, the neighbors came together and said, no, we're gonna keep this going because this is important to us. You know, I'm not a huge animal person, but I mean, they had the sheep and the pigs and all that mess, and it was awesome.
And little chicks.
Yes, thank you. And the chicks. I can't forget the chicks. They got to be careful with those chicks. Some of them kids got a little crazy. But the fact that they did it, it was awesome. And so I just wanted to shout out to them. And so next time when the Wapping Fair comes around next year, and this is a saying specifically for people that were asked to sponsor, now you know. South Windsor, when they say they want to get behind something, they're going to get behind it. It's going to be productive. You're going to want to be a part of it. So thank you for everybody that was involved in it. The only other piece, just because I know we've talked about, and it came up once or twice before, in regards to transparency, is just in regards to, because as soon as it came out, I had a number of phone calls in regards to it, just in regards to the special meeting that we're going to have on Wednesday, in regards to the new business sole purpose of appointing individuals as mayor and deputy mayor. The way that our rules work, because this is a question that I was asked, because I was not aware that this was going to be a special meeting, but just for our public, again, in the hands of transparency, which both parties said this is what we're going to do. So when it comes to special meetings, there's individuals that can do it. The mayor, through the clerk, or at least 3 members of the council are empowered to call a special meeting, and then they have to give notice. So contrary to popular belief, it's not the whole council that has to say it. It only has to be 3 members or the mayor. They submit and go on. And then 48 hours before the time of such meeting, and everything went through. So that was just for them. My only question was, only because I was not aware of this, the 3 people that wanted to have this special meeting are who? Because they have to be from the council. Okay, so I'm just not aware of the 3 people, because unless it was the mayor that called it, and I know I was at the agenda meeting, and this was not part of the agenda. So who are the 3 in the effort of transparency, not just for the council, but also for our residents? Because again, my phone was blowing up an hour before. Who are the 3 people that wanted to have this special meeting that we plan on having on Wednesday, September 18th, here in the council chambers? Yes. Me. Okay. 1.
Me.
Okay, 2 and 3. Thank you. Okay. Like I said, I just want to make sure, because I'm getting questions from the residents saying, okay, that seemed to be a town council decision. And I'm like, no, I just found out about it. So that's the reason I brought it out there. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Lewis?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A week ago Monday, I went on my first town tour with the town manager, and I just want to, on the heels of the plumbers, is just say how impressed I was with the town. Every department, we went everywhere. He wore me out, but I was so impressed with the resources that are dedicated and with the industriousness of each department. It seemed like every department had a way to also have a way to generate some of their own revenue to help fund what they do, and how resourceful and creative they are in repairing equipment, to refabbing things, to taking a broken piece here, putting it onto another thing and making it whole. It was just amazing from every department, from our IT backup, which was almost out of a sci-fi movie of how well prepared we are as a town. So just to echo what the plumber said, and to thank you, Mr. Maniscalco, for that tour. Also, Mrs. Plummer said, is if you think our tax is too high, you should take a look and take a tour of the town and see what you really have, and you'd be pretty impressed that we get a lot of bang for our dollar in this town. So, thank you.
Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Kind of to piggyback off of the plumbers, but more on the accident side of what they were saying. Last week I had a accident at the intersection of Avery and Orchard Hill. My dogs tripped me in the sidewalk, and I badly sprained my ankle. And it was right at the morning rush hour, so I kind of laid in the intersection while many cars just kind of kept going. But thankfully, 2 really good Samaritans stopped to help me out. One of them was Grace Carver, who is a music teacher at Timothy Edwards Middle School. And the other one was a gentleman named Greg, and I can't remember his last name, but he lives on Foster Street. And so Greg and Grace piled me.
Could it have been Greg Galvin?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, Greg Galvin stopped, and Grace and Greg piled the dogs and I into Greg's car, and he was kind enough to drive me back up the hill to my house. If it had happened the day before, your husband probably would have brought me back up there, but I just wanted to say thank you to the 2 of them and just kind of say to the entire town, like, if you see someone laying on the ground in the road or on the side of the road, be a good Samaritan and pull over and help them out, because likely they are not doing that because they are taking a nap. But I'm grateful to live in a town where, a public servant for the town and a town's member pulled over and helped me out. And I think it just speaks to the great nature of this town, and I'm very proud to live here. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald. Councilor Carey?
I just wanted to, he's left already, but Scott Roberts, thank you, Scott Roberts. As many of you know, over the years we've had some difficulty hearing. I know planning and zoning probably had more difficulty because of the detail, and Scott managed to get new speakers up there and over here, and it's so much easier to hear. So Scott, thank you for exploring that and for getting it done for us.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It seems like the echo of tonight is just how great of a town we live in, and it seems like almost every day or weekly or monthly, certainly something new pops up to remind me of how great of a town it really is. Deciding to come back here after college and get married and plant my roots here and have children, it does feel good when you hear new things. And we're talking about emergency services and whatnot, and I don't think people realize, I was told by a gentleman from a surrounding town last week that they don't have the freedom to decide what hospital they go to through the ambulance service that they choose, and we have that here. And I know when I walked in on my mom, she hit her head, she called me crying, there's blood everywhere when you hit your head. When I called the ambulance, the first thing they asked when they got there was, where would you like us to take your mother? And I was able to call my dad, and he's rushing home from work, and he was able to tell me where to send her. So that's just another thing that, we have here in town that not everybody has. So the people we choose to partner with, the vendors we use, the fair was a great example of just the town rallying together. It's good that we have this time to share things, because people coming up for public input, my ears perk up and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. And I think we have that same responsibility to share, even if it's a personal story like you fall on yourself. We really do have a special town and a lot to offer. So I just think we're really blessed to live here.
Thank you. I'd like to just bring up, we have a local business that is celebrating 30 years here in South Windsor. They had an expansion, I think 2019, right? 2022, a few years ago, they had an expansion. So they're celebrating 30 years. It's open to the public from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Every counselor should have it in their packet, and they got an email last week. There's live music, there's a tap truck, food trucks, plus there's a free uplift giveaway. So that giveaway, I believe, is taking place at around 6:30. So the public's invited. Again, Hartford Truck Equipment, it's a business that started by a husband and wife who took it over from her parents. So it's, again, 30 years at 95 John Fitch Boulevard, if you don't know where Hartford Truck Equipment is. And that's it. So moving on to item 17, executive session. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session and invite Town Manager Michael Maniscalco, Assistant Town Manager Scott Roberts, and any other appropriate personnel deemed necessary to discuss item A, a tax abatement at Sullivan Avenue Plaza, Geisler's Plaza, and we would invite at that time Mr. Elliot Gersten and Larry Dooley, and then for 17B, a personnel issue clerk of the council.
Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, motion carries. We will be adjourning the regular town council meeting from our executive session. So when we leave the executive session, that will be the end of our meeting. So we will not be coming back to this location. So everyone, please have a good night. Thank you.